The robbery attempt happened at 2:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. Three armed men thought they were targeting an easy mark, just a food truck owner with a cash box. But when Tony Ramirez moved with lightning speed to protect his customers, using techniques that seemed almost military, the police started asking questions. What they discovered would shock everyone who thought they knew the humble taco vendor. Tony Ramirez was 42 years old, short and friendly-faced. For 3 years, he'd been running a food truck in the city's busiest business district. Tony's Tacos was written on the truck in simple letters. Every morning, he'd arrive at 10 a.m. and work until 6 p.m. His customers loved him, friendly, quick service, delicious food, but they knew very little about Tony. "Tony, how are you today?" asked his regular customer Sarah, an administrative assistant from the bank. "I'm good, Señorita Sarah. The usual, 2 carnitas tacos?" "Yes, and don't forget to add that special salsa." Tony smiled and prepared the food. He loved his work, simple, peaceful, no one asked questions. But Tony's past was anything but simple. From 1995 to 2018, he'd served in the United States Army. And he wasn't just any soldier. Tony was a Green Beret, America's most elite Special Forces unit. For 23 years, he'd served in the most dangerous places in the world. Now he sold tacos, and this gave him peace. That day seemed like an ordinary lunch break. Tony was taking orders as usual, preparing food, smiling as he served his customers. At 2:25 p.m., a black SUV parked. Tony didn't pay attention. Customers came, placed orders, and left. But when 3 men got out of the vehicle, the old soldier inside Tony awakened. All 3 were in black clothes, hooded, hands in their pockets, their walking style, aggressive. Tony continued working without stopping, but he was observing everything. 23 years of Special Forces training never disappeared. The man who appeared to be the leader approached. "Hey, amigo, we're having a nice day, aren't we?" Tony looked up. "Yes, senor, what can I get you?" "Get us money," the man said, showing the gun under his jacket. "Everything in your cash box." The other 2 men also approached. Customers began panicking and running away. Tony stayed calm. "I don't want trouble, amigos. I'm just working." "Open the cash box." Tony's mind worked rapidly. 3 armed men, civilians in danger, no escape route. Special Forces training kicked in. Okay, Tony said, slowly raising his hands. "The cash box is here." He bent toward the cash box, but at the same time took position, a movement he'd learned 23 years ago. While the leader was waiting for the cash box to open, Tony moved with lightning speed. In one move, he grabbed the leader's gun, twisted his arm, and brought him to the ground. The movement was so fast and fluid that the other 2 attackers didn't understand what happened. When the second man tried to draw his gun, Tony rolled toward him, grabbed him by the legs, and brought him down. The third man tried to run, but Tony caught him, neutralizing him with a chokehold around his neck. Within 3 minutes, 3 armed attackers were on the ground, and Tony was standing over them. People around stared in amazement. How could this taco vendor move like that? Police arrived 5 minutes later. At the scene were 3 neutralized attackers and Tony continuing to prepare food as if nothing had happened. Captain Rodriguez examined the scene. "Mr. Ramirez, what happened here?" 3 men tried to rob me. I defended myself." "How did you defend yourself?" Tony shrugged. "I know a little fighting." Rodriguez looked at the attackers. They'd been neutralized professionally. "A little fighting? This isn't martial arts, this is military training." "Why do you think that?" "Because I'm former military," Rodriguez said, "and I recognize these moves. Where did you learn these?" Tony paused. His secret was about to be revealed. "Army," he said finally. "Which unit?" Tony remained silent. Rodriguez looked around. Then he noticed the back seat of Tony's truck. There, under a jacket, was a Green Beret. Is that a Green Beret?" Tony followed Rodriguez's gaze. The beret was visible. "Yes." "Were you Special Forces?" "Yes." Rodriguez took a breath. "Which group?" "5th Special Forces Group." Rodriguez looked at Tony in amazement. "5th Special Forces? That's an elite unit. How many years did you serve?" 23 years. 23 years. What operations were you in?" Tony hesitated. "Iraq, Afghanistan, South America, Africa." Rodriguez understood. Special Forces operations were usually classified. Were you a sergeant? Master Sergeant, E8. Master Sergeant, that's a very high rank, so why are you selling tacos now? Tony smiled. Because I want a peaceful life. Rodriguez turned to the other officers around him. Guys, this man isn't just any citizen. This man is a Special Forces Master Sergeant, Green Beret. Young police officer Jake asked, "What does Green Beret mean?" Rodriguez explained. Green Beret is America's most elite military unit. Only the best are accepted. This man's training was harder than a NASA astronaut's. Tony was embarrassed. Captain, you're exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. You're a legend. Rodriguez continued asking Tony more questions. Master Sergeant Ramirez, what were your special skills? Counterterrorism, foreign internal defense, direct action, special reconnaissance. Foreign languages? Spanish is my native language. English, Arabic, Pashto. Rodriguez was impressed. Were you in Afghanistan? Yes, many tours from 2001 to 2018. Your most difficult operation? Tony thought. 2010 in Afghanistan. Operation to capture Taliban leaders. 12-man team, 72 hours in enemy territory. What happened? We were successful, but we lost 2 buddies. Tony's eyes began to well up. For them I chose a peaceful life. No more deaths. Rodriguez understood. That's why you sell tacos. Yes, I want to make people happy. I want to feed them. I don't want to fight anymore. After that day, the news spread. Food truck vendor was actually Special Forces hero. The next day, Tony came to work as usual, but customers looked at him differently. Tony, Sarah shouted, we learned who you really are. Tony was embarrassed. I'm still the same Tony, señorita. But you're a hero. No, I'm just someone who makes food. His regular customer, Dr. Jennifer Walsh, approached. Tony, you served in American Special Forces. This is incredible. Thank you, doctor, but the past stays in the past. But why didn't you tell us? Tony thought. Because I wanted to leave war behind. Here I wanted to be just Tony, Tony the taco seller. Dr. Walsh understood. But you're very modest. You're a hero. Real heroes, Tony said, are those who choose peace. A week later, a young man approached Tony's truck. Torn clothes, tired appearance, obviously homeless. Senor, the young man said, I have no money, but I'm very hungry. Tony looked at him. There was something military in his eyes. Are you a soldier? Former soldier, Iraq veteran, Marcus. Tony's face changed. Which unit, Marcus? 82nd Airborne. Tony nodded. Good unit. Want a taco? But I have no money. I don't want money. You're my brother. Tony gave Marcus 3 tacos, water, and a small note. Veteran to veteran, never forgotten. Marcus started crying. Thank you. Marcus, where are you staying? Under the bridge. Tony took $50 from his pocket. For this week, and come tomorrow, let's talk. Marcus couldn't take the money. This is too much. Marcus, we help each other. This is the Green Beret Code. After Tony's story spread in the media, everything changed. Veterans started coming to his truck, not just for food, but to talk. A month later, Tony had formed a small veteran support group. Every Monday evening, veterans would meet at his truck, eat and talk. Tony, said Marcus, now clean-dressed and employed, you saved my life. No, Marcus, you saved your own life. I just gave the tacos. But you gave me hope. Tony smiled. Hope multiplies when shared. Dr. Walsh brought Tony an offer one day. Tony, I have veteran patients. They're struggling with PTSD. They need to hear your story. I'm not a doctor, but you understand? You've been through it too. Tony agreed. One day a week, he'd go to the hospital and talk with veteran patients. 6 months later, Tony's place wasn't just a food truck, but also a veteran center. Local veteran organizations were collaborating with him. Tony, Rodriguez said one day, the city is going to give you a Veteran Services Award. No, Tony, you sell hope. At the award ceremony, Tony gave a speech. I served around the world as a Green Beret, but my most important mission started here, because the real war starts at home. Our veterans' PTSD, homelessness, loneliness, a taco, a conversation, a smile, these seem like small things, but sometimes small things create big changes. A year later, Tony's story became a book. From Green Beret to Tacos, A Warrior's Journey to Peace. "Tony," said author Sarah Kim, "this book will inspire thousands of people." I hope so, but the real message is this: when war ends, the real mission begins. How? Keeping peace, serving the community, and not forgetting your buddies. Tony's food truck had now become a symbol of the city. Even tourists came to take pictures. "Tony, you've become famous," Rodriguez said. "I'm not famous. I'm just continuing my mission." "Which mission?" "Serving people. The basic principle of special forces, to liberate the oppressed. Now I apply it differently." 2 years later, Tony's Veteran Support Network had reached 200 people in the city. 70% of homeless veterans had found jobs and started getting treatment. "Tony," the mayor said, "you're the pride of our city." "Thank you. But the real pride is our veterans' recovery." A journalist asked, "Do you have any regrets, from special forces to tacos?" Tony thought. "No, because I'm still on the same mission." "How?" "As a Green Beret, I learned to defeat enemies. Now I help veterans defeat their enemies: PTSD, depression, loneliness." "And the tacos?" Tony smiled. "Tacos are just an excuse. What's real is love, understanding, and brotherhood." Tony looked at the back of his food truck. The Green Beret was still there. He no longer hid it. "This beret," Tony said, "reminds me where I came from, but more importantly, it shows me where I'm going." "Where are you going?" "Toward peace, and I'm taking everyone who has a buddy on that path with me." The moral of this story: don't judge people by their current jobs. That simple food truck vendor might be a hero who risked his life for his country. And sometimes, real heroes fight their hardest battle after winning the war. Learning to live in peace. Tony Ramirez went from Green Beret to taco seller, but he was still on the same mission: serving people. He was just doing it in a more delicious way now.